what's up you guys? Matt Thibeau here from Savant Marketing Agency. And in this video, what we're going to do is talk about how to build confidence as a contractor in a sales environment. Now, this wasn't my idea. I got a couple messages actually, a popular request from contractors asking, how can I become more confident in a sales environment? You know, maybe you are really good at what you do, and maybe you know that you can deliver a good product or service for your client, but for whatever reason, you're just dropping the ball when it comes to closing the deal, right? Maybe you're showing up to the estimate and you're a little nervous and you're just struggling to build confidence when it comes to closing the deal when you show up to that estimate and gaining the homeowner's trust and moving things forward. I know that this can be a problem for a lot of contractors because you take so much pride in your work and you're so good at what you do on the tools that sometimes some of the other aspects of the business can be a little bit difficult. And so in this video, I'm going to give you 3 very practical things that you can do today to start building your confidence in a sales environment as a contractor so that you can start closing more deals, you can start having more fun in a sales environment, and then obviously you can start growing your business. Because the reality is that if you want to grow your contracting company, you're going to need to become a good salesperson. And no, this doesn't mean becoming pushy. It doesn't mean becoming desperate. It doesn't mean bothering people. It means being a true professional, but coming across confident, knowing that you can help people and being able to communicate that properly. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into these 3 things here that are really going to change the game for you. And again, they're practical. You can start doing them today. So number 1, this one is something that you probably may not have heard of before as a way to actually build confidence in sales, but it's self-improvement. The reality is that the way to build self-confidence in yourself when you're coming into a sales environment is really to have a good reputation with yourself. Because self-confidence is basically just your reputation with yourself. Let me explain. So if you are constantly making promises to yourself, you're constantly saying, hey, I'm going to start working out, I'm going to send that invoice over to that client, or hey, I'm going to do this, and you never do those things, you're always breaking promises with yourself, then it's pretty hard to be confident in a sales environment because you're always breaking promises with yourself. You don't have confidence in yourself because your reputation with yourself is not really good, right? And so this is something that's subconscious. It's something that will take you time to build. But the more that you can build self-confidence in yourself, the more that you can start keeping your promises to yourself, then you're going to be able to be more confident in a sales environment because you trust you, and that's going to communicate to people that they can trust you as well. Because really the reason that you're lacking the self-confidence in a sales environment is because you don't fully trust yourself because in the past you've let yourself down, right? And so this is something that I don't really hear people talk about when it comes to self-confidence. These 3 things that I'm going to share with you are all things that I learned myself. You know, this isn't regurgitated BS from a book or something. I'm just giving you the stuff that I learned 6 years ago when I started my company. And I'm telling you, your reputation with yourself is everything when it comes to sales because you're going to trust you a lot more. So what can you do to start building this and build your reputation with yourself? Well, the first thing is keep your promises that you make to yourself. If you tell yourself, hey, I'm going to work out 3 times a week, but then you stop doing that and you don't do it anymore, well, then that's going to hurt your reputation with yourself, right? So you got to commit to your commitments. Show up 3 times a week, work out when you say you're going to work out. If you tell someone that you're going to hang out with them or whatever at a certain time, make a point to do that. If you say that you're going to show up at this time, to meet for a dinner or something, show up at that time. Become someone of a high integrity. Like become someone who makes promises and you follow through on those promises, because this is going to build your self-confidence because you're going to really trust you. And then when you show up to speak to a prospect and give them an estimate, they're going to feel that. Like they're going to really feel that, and they're going to know that they can trust you. And this is going to build a lot of confidence in a sales environment and make people feel comfortable and confident in you to buy from you. So that's number 1. By the way, as I go through this, guys, comment below if you have any questions or anything like that. Like if you're newer to contracting and you're struggling with something, I'd love for you to comment below and we can talk about it. All right, so the second one. I'm gonna do this. Right? So, knowing your SHIT, right? If you really know what you're talking about, right? If you really understand what you're talking about, when you show up to an estimate and you really know what you're talking about, right? The person is asking you questions and boom, you have a perfect answer for everything. You're a complete expert. You understand everything. That's going to give you a tremendous amount of confidence in a sales environment and help you close the deal, right? Because confidence comes from competence. The more competent that you are in a field, you're going to naturally become more confident in that, right? Like, for example, if you ask me anything about marketing, I'm very confident in my ability to answer that. But if you put me in an environment that I don't have much competence in, like, right, for example, like, right, if you ask me to do a seminar about accounting, I'm not going to be very confident in that because I don't have a lot of competence in that, right? So your confidence will come from your competence. And so a really practical way that you can start building up some confidence for yourself when you show up to a sales meeting or an estimate is like really knowing your SHIT, really understanding what you do so that you can provide value to people and that they can trust that you are knowledgeable, right? This is probably one of the more popular ones. Like that's one that most contractors will be good at. But really commit to being a true professional and expert in your craft, right? Always learning. Like you should always be learning of new things in your field, new tricks, new ways of doing things. You need to have, I wrote an email about this the other day, you need to have what's called a teachable mindset, where you're constantly always looking for, what can I learn? You're always looking like you have a student's heart. You're always looking, well, what's next? What can I learn? How can I do this better, right? If you're showing up to a job site and someone's doing something in a certain way that you've never seen before and it looks effective, ask questions about it. You're curious. You're always trying to learn. Because as soon as you close your mind and you say, oh, I know everything, I have this ego, yeah, I do it this way, everyone else doesn't know what they're doing, well, that's going to make it difficult for you to keep learning, right? And so a really practical way for you to start building your confidence when you show up to estimates is to know your SHIT, is to really, really understand everything that's involved, become a true expert, commit to being an expert or savant, like I like to say, and it's going to make it much easier for you to show up in a confident manner that's going to make people want to buy from you. So I hope that that makes sense. Again, if you have any questions as I'm going through, comment below, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate your engagement, guys. It means a lot. So without further ado, let's jump into number 3. Now, this is one that took me a little bit to really learn. It's one that I think a lot of entrepreneurs might struggle with because we're such vision, big picture type people. But number 3 is prepare. So number 3 is like preparing and having good preparation for that meeting, right? Because here's the deal, is that if you go into a sales environment or you're going into an estimate or whatever, a sales call, anything, and you're not prepared, like you don't have notes, you don't really understand what's fully involved, you don't even really understand like what your pitch is or anything, your numbers, you don't know any of that stuff, then you're definitely not going to have confidence. You're going to come across as being someone who has no confidence, and rightly so, because you don't really know what you're talking about and you're not prepared. And so one of the greatest things that you can do is spend time preparing so that you know everything you're going to say, so that you can deliver the message really cleanly, concisely, answer any questions. Think of it like this. Your sales pitch, or like your presentation, your sales presentation, whatever you want to call it, right? Your estimate. It's basically like a song that you sing, right? And you need to be really damn good at that song. Like, put it into perspective. Let's say that, you know, if you were like a famous celebrity singer, Justin Bieber, for example, like Justin Bieber practices a song like he does rehearsals, right? Like he's going to practice that song over and over and over and over and over again, and he's going to get those notes perfectly. He's going to make everything perfect because he knows that he is in the business of performance, right? And it's the same exact thing for yourself as a salesperson, is that you're in the business of a presentation and performance when you do your sales presentation. So you need to practice that, and you should sing that song, so to speak, perfectly. And so what that also means is that you need to practice. Like, so many guys are like complaining that they're not good at sales or that they don't really know how to close. Well, when was the last time that you jumped on a call with another contractor and you guys role played? Like, you need to role play your presentation or your estimate or your pitch so that you can practice it and iron out the kinks, right? Because that's your $1 million song. If you don't know how to sing that song and you're not practicing your pitch, well, of course you're not going to be very good, and you're not going to be very confident, right? And so if you're not practicing your pitch and you're not going in, you don't know anything, and you're, maybe you made some changes to it, well, of course you're not going to be confident because you're not practiced. And so the best thing that you could do for number 3 to prepare and practice is do role plays. Get together like a couple different contractors, and every single Monday at this time, you guys jump on and you guys pitch each other. Pretend that you're a homeowner and the other one's a contractor, and you just go through it and you come up against objections and you practice. Like, this is the only way to become very good at sales, is through practice. You can get the scripts and all that stuff right, but really, at the end of the day, what's going to make you a great salesperson and build your confidence in a sales environment is practicing it. So I hope you found these 3 tips that I have for helping you build your confidence in a sales environment as a contractor helpful. If you have any questions, you can comment below. Again, I'd appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up, show your support. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you again on the next one.